Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major is the 11th. I better check to make sure he made it. The traffic was backed up. Okay, he's here. Sergeant Major is the 11th and highest enlisted rank in the United States Army. It's the base rank required for leadership positions of command, Sergeant Major. Sergeant Majors assist officers in battalion-sized forces of 300 to 1,000 soldiers, and lead soldiers and junior officers placed under their command. Sergeant Major also sometimes serve as a senior non-commissioned officer in a battalion-sized headquarters unit. Our next speaker began his military career as a private and ascended to the rank of Sergeant Major. Throughout his 26-year career, he served in the 82nd Airborne, 2nd Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, A and C Companies, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, with the 1st, 5th, and 7th United States Army Special Forces groups, once as an instructor at Special Forces School, and once as Special Forces Unit Evaluator. He served through 2 tours in Iraq, fought 3 drug wars, served 1 tour in Afghanistan, and participated in the invasion of Panama and Cambodia. I'm pretty sure he could kick my ass. Please join me in welcoming Sergeant Major Mark Baylis.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
Good.
I guess what I want to talk about is people. The American people, the people that served. 25 years on jump status. He's a cherry. Just having some fun right there. But it's all about people, it's about relationships. We go to war for the people at home. We come home to the people that we went to make sure we're safe. It's all about people and the way you get along. And I guess I'm chosen to talk about PTSD today. I had to tease the captain a little bit because he talked about my topic the whole time. But I work with an organization called Valor Clinic Foundation. And we have worked very hard to build a program to help veterans come home. We call it Veterans Unstoppable. How many people are familiar with PTSD? Everybody here been talking about it already? I don't like to call it PTSD, but that's how everybody knows it. I prefer to call it PTSI. I believe it's an injury and not a disorder. I believe when it's dealt with civilians, it's a disorder to some degree, not entirely. The situations that usually cause PTSD, not always, there are no absolutes any place. And we all know that, I think. But with that said, hardship coming to your family one time is awful. It's a tragedy if you lose a child. It's a tragedy if you lose a wife. The car accident, you can't put your words on sudden loss or horror coming into your life. But it is not the same thing when it comes to you as when you go to it 3 times a week for a year. It's not. I don't care what anybody says, you can't group them in the same place. And the way to find the way home for those veterans that have to endure that, whether they be Marines, or soldiers, or sailors, or airmen, or people in the Coast Guard, I guess we call them sailors too, don't we? We recently helped a Coast Guard person that used to do shipboarding with the SEALs, so he brought his law enforcement piece with him, and he endured some crazy things I didn't realize the Coast Guard was going through. So there's 5 of them out there, and they're doing the right thing for us. But how does that affect people? How does that affect people? Why 1 in 5? Does everybody know that number? Everybody familiar with that number? 1 in 5. Roadside bomb goes off here. I'm joining you guys. There's 5 of us. 1 of us is going to have a problem. Why not the other 4? Or if they have a problem, it's a lesser degree. And we've done our digging. Senior Chief, I liked what you said. But I think we disagree a little bit in our experiences. Different people's past take them different place. Again, it's all about people, right? We all see the world just a little bit different. And that little bit different we see the world is part of why it's 1 in 5 and not all 5. Anybody, does that make sense to anybody? What if, I ask a question to you, what if when you were young, the way you were taught to deal with hardship shaped the way you see the world, and the way you see the world changes the way you react to crisis. What if that were true? What if in the five, one of us learned to see it so much differently that it affected us much worse than the others? I believe that's part of the case. And when that effect happens, what happens when you come home? What happens when you come home if you see the world completely different than when you left? I'll bet you he's not getting along with the people sitting next to him the same as before he left then. I don't think he is. Because our experience suggests that what happens is the relationship skills break down under the burden of that stress. The relationship skills break down, and the way people get along with other people changes, and the things that people hold to tightest maybe aren't the things that are best for them in peace, but they may have been the things that kept them alive in combat. Gunny, I don't want to put you on the spot. Were you in 0311 by any chance? Outstanding. Everybody else is just support. Infantry guys are what it's all about. Whether you're a Marine or the Army, they're the ones out there right on the pointy tip of the spear. Nobody, and I'm asking to see if he's right or wrong. The lieutenant could probably add to this too. When he was lieutenant as a captain too. Nobody wants to lose anybody in war. Nobody. The greatest attribute our nation has, and it transcends all service, is the emphasis we put on protecting the greatest resource in this country, and that's your children. And I think we do it pretty damn well. But because of that, we almost build an OCD about attention to detail, because if we make a mistake, somebody's going to die, and we don't want it to happen. The burden of leadership is not light, but we carry that. So think about that, and now you forge that in the fires of combat. It becomes, here we are. I'm a United States Marine, ooh-ah, right? And then we come home. Honey, I love you. But damn it, you got the pot crooked handle on the stove, and we're gonna knock it off and burn our daughter. Stop it. How do you think that goes over at home? I'll bet she hits him with the pot. Anyway, but those things that help us keep people's children alive and keep ourselves alive in war maybe don't do so well when we come home. And life's about people, and life's about relationships, and if you can't keep the relationships going, things start to fall apart. How many people know the divorce rate is double among returning veterans than it is civilians? How many people know the unemployment rate is double among veterans than it is civilians? I don't like either of those two things. And I especially don't like them because I believe the domino effect of when the veterans come home and they're having trouble readjusting because of emotional scars of war, injuries, if you will, that it starts a domino of things when they can't keep the relationship at home going well. The divorce rates happen. Those relationships carry over into work. How do you think that, like this, is going when they show up at work? They're getting fired because of it. They're not getting along with the colleagues, they're not getting along with the customers, they need everything just like this. And we believe that it's a big contributing factor in the reason that the homeless rate is double among veterans than it is among civilians. And so, we believe the best way forward to help attrit those high levels of unemployment and divorce and homelessness. I'm staying away from the suicide one because those numbers are so crazy off the charts, I don't want to even get into it. It's a topic all to itself. But also, as the domino goes, we believe the best way is to help the veterans rebuild their relationship skills and get to understand what's going on around them, and that life is about people, and they've come home to the people that they need to share their life with and who are important to them, and they need to take a little more time to think, hey, nobody's going to die. Hey, nobody's going to die. Take a deep breath. I'm home. I'm back. We can work this out. It's going to be fine. And And so our program revolves around that when we help combat PTSD. We have a peer-to-peer program. We're trying to expand it down here into the Lehigh Valley. We currently do it up in the Poconos. And if anybody's interested in helping us build one down here, we have some cadre trained to lead small groups. We're still looking for a place and some attendees. But we also have a retreat model that we do that over a period of time and going to retreats, you can work on deeper issues to help that improvement in relationships happen faster. We believe if you go back and touch the wound that scarred and changed the way you see the world when you were young, you can chart the path back out and build a road to leave that behind and come to peace with your past and how you saw the war when it landed in your lap. And we call that program Veterans Unstoppable. We hope we're going to be able to help a lot of veterans. And we think the best thing you can do to help a veteran when they're coming home is just take a time to treat them like they're normal, like they never went anyplace. Take a little time to understand it's going to take some time to decompress. Ask them a question. Hey, what could we do together to help you forget about this? Because in the end, it's about people. It's about the American people. It's about the vets and their families. It's about you and your relationship with the veterans. And we would hope that you would put people first. And remember that when you're dealing with the people that come home who fought so hard and sometimes carry the burdens of some very ugly things. And funny story. You want to know what I was most afraid of in the war? That platoon leaders, damn corporals. We used to go out occasionally in taxi cabs with rags on our head like we were Iraqis, with the guns between the seat. When we had to come back through the checkpoints, it was like, oh no, we've got American privates and they want to shoot something. And so it was kind of it was a fun place to be. I went into Afghanistan in 2001 with the horse soldiers, where there was really nobody there. And then the 10th Mountain Division came in. The Marines tried to come in once and left. And nobody knew quite what to do in the early days. But it was some adventure that was memorable. And I hope that when I come home and I deal with the people important to me, that I remember the importance of that it's about people, and take the time to put the people first. And if you consider those things, you can go a long way toward putting the war behind you. And I thank you for taking a minute and listening to me rant for tonight. And thanks for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Major Mark Baylis. Before we transition to our feature speaker for the night, I just want to make a couple announcements. All of these organizations you see around the room here, they're volunteer. It means they don't get paid. If there's a donation jar on that table, consider it, because it helps things like what you just heard from these gentlemen. Two people standing here with the cameras weren't expecting me to say who they are. Charlie Noonan is a member of our group, and this beautiful lady is my niece, and she's a brand new mom. And they also are volunteering their time to help us tonight so that we can capture this event in photographs.